What's up, guys? Today we're going to be talking about the normal mode guild boss. I'm going to show you how I scored 1700 on normal mode. I'm going to talk about what units you probably want to use, the strategies, how you want to gear your units, and then we're going to do a walkthrough and show you play by play what you want to be thinking about on the different turns. So with that, let's get into it. Alright guys, so I decided to kind of feature the guild boss this week on normal mode, and I've got some video and some strategies based on what I did last week on the guild boss to get my 1700 score. So if you use this strategy and you have the same type of gear that I do, you should be able to get a combined score of 3,000. You can see I got a little over 3,000 between the hard and the normal last week. Today we're going to focus on the normal mode. It's pretty similar to the hard. I also have a video on the hard explaining the differences and things you want to work on that one as well. Okay, so this is the team that we're going to be featuring today in the video. It's going to be red Gother, green Helbrim, green Gustav, and green Jericho. It's possible to get good scores with other units. This is what we've found is the most reliable way to get high scores consistently. Now, any team you use, especially one that's based on crits, it's going to be very RNG dependent, so I'm not saying that you can just use this strategy, do one run, and get this perfect high score. There is randomness involved in terms of card draw, in terms of critting versus not critting, so please keep that in mind. Don't go do a run with this team, don't get the score, and then come back and say, hey, you told me I'd get it first try. It doesn't always work first try, but it's a good option. And you should really be able to help your guild out if you use the strategies we talk about in today's video. Okay, so these are the key skills that we're going to be using. When you're doing the normal guild boss, most of your points are going to come from your single largest damage attack. And so almost all the stuff we're going to talk about today is how to get that attack damage up as high as possible. The move we're going to use is Jericho's ultimate. If you can get level 6 ultimate, that helps quite a bit. If you can't, the strategy still works. The damage will be a little bit lower and your score will be a little bit lower, but it'll still work just fine. We're going to buff her ultimate using the Gustav freeze, which will remove all buffs and debuffs off the boss, and then when you hit him with your ult right after that, it's going to triple your damage. We're also going to be using green Helbrim as our buffer, and so we're going to be using Helbrim's attack related stat boost. And then, of course, we're going to be using Gother for rank ups and for buffing our stats as well. Gother's tier 3 rank up spell gives a 20% boost to basic stats, including attack, for 3 turns, which works on top of the Helbrim buff. And then finally, a little bit more subtle, but we're going to talk about how to exploit this even better today, is Gother's trickery passive, which increases attack by 10% for all allies at the start of every turn if he didn't take damage last turn. So this is going to be kind of the hidden key to the fight. If we can get Gother to not take damage for 4 or 5 turns in a row, we're going to be stacking ourselves with this attack, and it's really going to help get that crit damage up there. We're going to talk about some tricks on how to do that here when we get into the gearing section. Okay, so I mentioned that there's a little bit of RNG. I say a little bit. There can be quite a bit of RNG involved in these runs. Here's the recipe that you need for a perfect guild boss run on normal mode. You need a rank 3 Helbrim buff, you need a rank 3 Gustav freeze, you need a Jericho ult that crits, you need a rank 3 Gother rank up card which gives us a 20% stat boost, and then you also want to have at least 3 stacks of Gother's trickery buff. This one is kind of tricky. Making a little joke here. This one's kind of tricky because anytime the Gother takes damage by getting hit from the guild boss, that's going to reset the stacks on this trickery. So we're going to talk about a way to kind of trick the trickery into stacking to get you that those 3 stacks or more that you want. But in general, if you can get all 5 of these things in one run without taking forever to get it, you don't want to go more than 4 or 5 turns in your run because then you start losing a lot of points. But if you can get these 5 ingredients put together and then crit, you're going to be doing pretty well. So we're going to get into the gear, talk about what you need to be thinking about when gearing, and we're also going to talk about how we can stack this trickery buff by using patience. Alright guys, so we're going to walk through the gear, and this gear basically is going to help you achieve the strategy that we talked about. So We'll start with Helbram. He's probably the most straightforward. On the Helbram association, it doesn't really matter what you use. On the Helbram character himself, it also doesn't really matter that much what you use. I really like to run 3 defense sets. You can see here his gear is not very good. I would recommend using some common attack bracers that are not upgraded, that don't have any attack stats on it, because we want to deal as little damage as possible to the normal guild boss, because it's actually really easy to kill it by accident. We're going to be throwing down Jericho cards to build her ult gauge up and to get her crit chance up, and if we keep doing lots of damage with our other characters, that's going to mean we're more likely to kill the boss with Jericho before we can do our ult. So I would run triple defense on Helbram and on Gustav. The gear is really not that important in terms of being able to do damage or anything like that, so really it's just a matter of survival. Better gear on these units are not going to help you get a better score. Having more defense is not going to help you get a better score really, but it may just make it easier for you to get a good score because they'll survive more often and you might be able to, succeed in some runs where you would have otherwise failed if they were dead. So that's what I use on Helbram. Like I said, on his association, it doesn't really matter what gear you use. I just have a normal attack and defense set. If you really wanted to min-max it, I would put really also a triple defense set on his association, but I didn't really want to spend the gold at this point in time because I'm pretty broke. Alright, next is Gustav. Gustav is pretty similar. I would put 3 defense sets on him for sure. You'll notice that on Gustav I do have the common bracer and ring, but they are upgraded. And the reason they're upgraded is I've got full pierce stats. Could probably improve these rolls a little bit, but I would put the maximum amount of pierce rate on the bracer and the maximum amount of pierce rate on the ring. You really want to aim for around that 90% level of pierce. Where's the pierce? Okay, so I've got 89.7% pierce. That's pretty good because what he's going to do with his passive is reduce the guild boss resistance by his pierce. So definitely helpful for getting the damage up a little bit more on our ult, which is going to be what drives most of our points. Okay, next is Jericho. She's going to be our main damage dealer, and her gear is pretty straightforward. You're going to either want to go with you're either going to want to go with all crit damage sets. You can see what I'm using is I'm using 1 attack set and 1 crit damage set. Either one is okay. You can get a little higher in terms of your maximum crit damage if you use all crit damage. If you use attack and crit damage, I think you're probably going to max out around 275, maybe a little higher than that, percent crit damage, which is still totally fine. For the guild boss, you'll still do great damage. In fact, I have all crit damage over here. I have some crit damage and some attack, just depending on which rolls I got that happen to be good. So you do want a lot of crit damage on her. I would say you want at least 250% crit damage. Some people go higher than 270, 280, even 290% crit damage. So the optimal level will depend on what your level of attack is. The higher your attack, the better your gear is, the more that crit damage helps because you're basically multiplying crit onto a higher base attack. So there's no necessarily right answer in terms of crit damage. You can see I'm using about a little under 260%, which works pretty well. Again, if you get good rolls that are attack and crit damage, just keep the rolls that are good. I happen to get some good attack rolls here, so that's what I kept. I would go mostly crit damage and then just keep any attack rolls that are really good. Other than those 2 pieces up here, these are the only 2 that really matter in terms of your score. Of course, you want her to survive, so I happen to have some SSR pieces on the left side and rare on the right. But you could really use common on the right, aside from the ring. I would say that the most important SSR piece is going to be the bracer. You're going to get the biggest SSR damage boost. The second most important would be the ring. And then after that, the rest of these can either be common or rare. You can probably put rare left side, common right side. That'll work just fine. Let's check out her association, Gila, Blue Gila. So her association, whoever you're using, this is where you're going to want to put your best attack gear. that is not crit based. So you would want to take your attack set. So first of all, you're going to want to use 4 attack pieces, 2 defense pieces, and you want to take your best attack bracer and your best attack ring, other than the ones you're using on Jericho, and you're going to want to put them on her association. So this is my best attack ring that I have, and this is my best attack bracer that I have. And again, it's just because she's going to give 10% of those stats to Jericho through the association bonus. So again, really just kind of maximizing our attack here on Jericho. She's kind of a glass cannon. We're not so much worried about her defense or her health. Of course, we want her to survive, so we need a little bit there, but really it's her attack. Okay, so now let's get to Gustav. Gustav, you really want to maximize his defense and his resistance. So on Gustav himself, we typically are going to want to see resistance rolls. On Gustav's association, we're going to want to see defense rolls. So the reason that is the resistance attribute acts sort of as a modifier to what your defense is. So the more defense you have, the more resistance is worth. So I'll show you the gear here in a second, but what I'm using right now is 115% resistance, and with associations, a defense of about almost 8,600, which works out really well. If you happen to get really good defense rolls instead of resistance rolls, that's totally okay. I went for resistance, and I am happy that I did, but defense works really well too. The key to Gustav is really these middle 2 pieces, the necklace and the pendant. The rest of his gear can pretty much be trash. You do want to run 3 defense sets, but the only thing that really matters on him is how much defense and how much resistance can you get. And so because these 2 pieces, actually I needed +5 this, interesting. Because these 2 pieces are the ones that contribute defense, these are the ones that, if you're going to do SSR, these are the ones you want to do SSR first. The most important being the necklace on the left-hand side. That would be the first thing I would SSR and go there. I would 5-star, 5+, and try to get as many resistance or defense rolls as you can. I would go either a rare earring over here on the right, or I would do an SSR if you happen to have it. For sure 5-star. If you do rare, you can get super awesome resistance or defense rolls. If you do SSR, I would keep any rolls that are good on defense or on resistance. Other than that, his gear doesn't really matter. Looks like this is crit damage and just random stuff up here. If I were building this set from scratch, again, I would actually put common bracer and common ring on here. And in fact, I may go back and do that. And I would not roll any attack on any of those. I would just leave them 0 upgrades, because we don't want attack except on our Jericho. Okay, on Gustav's association, I'm using Green Merlin, who is pretty good because I also use her on the guild boss, so I have her built up, which is really good. And on her, it doesn't matter so much what you have, but again, you definitely want triple defense. I would say for sure you want to use a rare necklace and a rare earrings. Again, she's going to give 10% of her defense to Gustav if you have max ult, between 5 and 10% depending on your Merlin ult level. And so we want to maximize her defense to get that Gustav defense up. So the idea is, if we have enough defense and resistance on Gustav, he's going to be patiencing these boss attacks. And when he does that, he's going to continue to stack his trickery buff, which is really what's going to contribute quite a bit to our damage. So this can get up to 5 times, up to 50%, and that is multiplicative with the Hellbrim buff and with the Gustav rank 3 rank up buff. That is not additive, that is multiplicative, which is awesome. So this is super, super good. Totally want to stack it. I know it's a bit of a hassle to roll another gear set, but man, it makes a big difference. So definitely would recommend doing that. So for the Gustav association, again, it doesn't really matter so much what you use. If you wanted to go full survival, you could put triple defense sets on his association. That would give you the best survival. But again, you're only going to get 5 to 10% of those. So in my opinion, that's sort of one of the less critical things, just like the same idea on the Hellbrim association. In terms of what food to use, that's going to be a pretty easy decision. I would go with the crit damage food. Again, we are going to be trying to get that one big ult crit on Jericho, and so more crit damage is more damage, and that's more points. So that's pretty straightforward. Alright guys, so now we're going to do a playthrough so you can see what you should be thinking about each turn and what you need to do to build up to your final ult. So in general, the strategy is we want to minimize the damage we're doing to the boss, because it's actually very easy to accidentally kill him by doing damage when you're trying to build your Jericho ult. So on the first turn, typically the first turn is always going to be the same. The draw is always the same, so we're usually going to play the same cards. We're going to play Jericho's attack before her bleed, so it doesn't have weak point. My preference on turn 1 is not to play the Helbram Poison card, because that's going to last 3 turns. It's going to be very difficult to play Jericho attack cards without getting weak point for 3 turns after that. So I usually hold on to those and merge them. I'll go ahead and play her bleed just to start building ult, but I'll try to wait 2 turns for that bleed to come off before I play other attack cards. In general, I don't find myself moving Jericho cards very often to get her ult, just because if you have to move cards to get her ult, you probably haven't played enough of them to get a consistent crit anyway. So you can do it and it can work, but it's pretty RNG, and I found that playing the cards instead is a better option because it lets you cycle through more cards to get those better draws. Okay, so my poison has worn off here. Now I should be okay to go ahead and play my 2 Jericho attack cards. We've got a rank 2 Helbram ult, as you can see. A Helbram buff. We've got a rank 2 Gustav, so we're in pretty good shape. Now the boss is getting pretty low. That's never good. If we have a rank 1 extra freeze, which you can see I just drew, you can use a rank 1 freeze to keep the dots off the boss. Alright, so you can see we have pretty much all the ingredients. We've got 4 crit stacks of Jericho. She's at 75%. Would like to see that higher. We can scroll over to Gother. You can see we've got 3 stacks of Trickery. So we could ult now. I'm going to go ahead and wait 1 more turn, just because I have more cards I need to play. So we're going to rank up Gother, give him a rank 3 rank up card. We'll go ahead and throw an extra freeze on there to get that debuff off the boss. Don't anticipate really needing to do that, but just in case, he won't be taking any more damage. Go ahead and play our rank 3 rank up, and go ahead and play our Helbram buff. Next turn, this is going to give us 4 stacks of our Gother Trickery passive, so we should be in pretty good shape. Assuming we get the Jericho crit, we should be all good. So let's see what happens. So we're buffing. We now are going to have 4 stacks. He's hitting Helbram, but Helbram lives. So I got pretty lucky this round that the boss didn't really attack Gother. So let's see if I can find another clip to show you guys patience. But the idea is, okay, so here we've got our 4 stacks. You can scroll over to your Jericho. You can see that her attack is now stacked up. We've got 4 stacks with her. She's now got more than 100% crit chance, so hopefully we'll get a crit. And then from there, that's pretty much it. We've got the boss low enough that all of his defense and crit resistance buffs are removed. So now it's pretty much just play the freeze and play the Jericho ult, and that's pretty much it. Get a couple extra points for moving a card here, just in case those 5 points, or however many it is, makes a difference to you. Freeze and ult. Bam! Alright, so almost 3.4 million damage. And that would have been significantly lower if we didn't have the Gother Trickery buff. So, stacking that Gother Trickery is really very valuable in, getting this score up. So, like I said, that last run was super lucky because the boss didn't even hit Gother. Take a look at this one. Look what happens when the boss does try to hit Gother, but we have enough defense and resistance. Bam! Patience. 2 attacks in that 1 turn, and no damage. So Gother's still going to keep stacking his Trickery buff, even though we got attacked twice by the guild boss. Now, keep in mind, those were bronze attack cards. So the guild boss has attack cards just like we have attack cards, and just like we have ranks, he has rank 1 skills, rank 2 skills, rank 3 skills. if he there's more patience. If he uses a rank 2 or rank 3 skill, it's very difficult, maybe even impossible, to to patience those higher rank skills or his ultimate attacks. So this is primarily a way to smooth out your runs and still have a good run, even if you get attacked a couple times with Goler with those bronze attack cards. But keep in mind that this isn't going to block everything. I mean, it's still possible that Goler's going to take damage, and that can still mess up your perfect run. So guys, I hope this was helpful. I hope this helps you improve your score on normal mode. If it does, give me a shout in the comment down below. Would love to hear how much it helped you improve your score. If it doesn't, or if there's anything that's a little unclear in the video, just give me a shout. I'd be happy to clarify or provide any other information that'd be helpful. So again, thanks for watching, and stay tuned for more cool stuff.